Welcome to the Tuesday Review. I'm Nathan.
I'm James.
And I'm Callum.
And tonight we are talking about San Diego Comic-Con Part 2 and other trailers.
Pretty much just all the trailers that have been coming out, whether in like Comic-Con trailers or just generally around that. Like everything on the show, we're 2 weeks behind. So a lot of these trailers came out last week or the week before, but there's just so many that came out.
Got a lot to digest.
Yeah, it's like we have to talk about some of them because holy crap.
Let's just jump right into it.
Yes.
The Witcher.
The Witcher trailer.
I can't believe we haven't talked about this yet. That's amazing.
We have jerked it off.
No, we have. But that's the thing. We talk about this show. We talk about The Witcher so much.
But now we've seen the trailer.
Now there's a trailer.
And it hypes it up even more.
Yeah.
I have to say, I knew it was going to be high budget.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect it to look so slick.
Yeah, it's like we kept talking about the production value and they have to live up to Game of Thrones and they have to live up to the source material. And it's like, wow. It looks like just production-wise.
They spent money on this thing.
That's what we keep repeating ourselves. It's like, that's what you have to do. You have to put the time and the effort and the money in. Like, I know it costs a lot, but it pays off.
This could be Netflix's next Stranger Things. Netflix's next biggest show.
Yeah, we talked about how after Game of Thrones, this is their Game of Thrones. I'm assuming they're going to be pushing this as their big.
They'd have to.
Yeah.
They'd have to.
Plus, they've got all their other fantasy, sci-fi stuff coming out, but this one I think will be their big.
The piece de resistance.
Yeah,
or
exactly. Like their flagship. Like this is our fantasy Game of Thrones killer, even though Game of Thrones is already dead.
It killed itself.
And they have the momentum of the game series as well and everything else.
Exactly. And people are already just invested because of the games, but then you get people who don't understand that the series is based on the books, not the game. So you get people complaining and carrying on. Keeping
it in context, the Witcher series, mostly referring to the games, at one point was Poland's highest GDP export.
Yeah.
Well, what else does Poland have?
But still,
I don't know much about Poland, but
still, that's seriously impressive.
Yeah,
that CD Projekt Red, the studio, was their highest grossing export,
and they will continue to be so. With
exactly, and because they're so good at handling
properties,
giving CD Projekt gives people what they want and doesn't jerk them around like all the other game companies.
Yeah.
So The Witcher really is one of the biggest franchises in the world.
I guess it's on its way. It's on its way to be because once the show comes out and people like my dad start watching it, then it's going to become huge.
In terms of fantasy properties, it's probably one of the biggest.
Yeah,
it's definitely with one of the biggest game franchises in the world.
Yeah,
until Bezos drops Lord of the Rings.
No, but
and soon it's going to be one of the TV's biggest franchises.
Exactly, because then it's going to open it up to people who don't game.
Yeah, like your dad and probably our dad.
And people who aren't going to read the books.
Honestly, people like our grandmother, who just like to watch fantasy shows.
She watched Game of Thrones, right?
But she just ignores all the naughty bits. Because she likes the intrigue.
She's too proper.
All those people who are a bit older who don't care about console games, but they like fantasy stuff. I'm saying older than your dad, your dad is still young enough to have a general understanding of pop culture.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about grandparents
old English granny,
who just likes to watch fantasy stuff on the TV.
That's cool though. Yeah, but and it's a good way to open it up for people, and because it's based on the books and because it's a series, it gets to
there's a lot of room to breathe.
Yeah, do all the world building that we always talk about how much we love.
It's going to be so good,
and all the backstory and all the
Henry Cavill looks so good.
What do you mean Henry Cavill? They cast Geralt as Geralt.
I don't know, man. I'm still
he pops on the wig and transformations.
Geralt's not necessarily the most beautiful man.
Yeah, well,
I mean, especially in the earlier games.
Yeah, well,
they improved him a little bit in number 3.
Yeah, I mean, see, I don't know how he's described in the books, but maybe Henry Cavill is too handsome.
Well, that's what I was sort of alluding to. I think, that's understandable. That happens in most films and television adaptations. They cast, what's the word I'm looking for?
Pretty people.
They cast pretty people, but
A-listers who generally tend to be on the better looking end.
I'm missing the word I was looking for. Never mind, continue.
But yeah, like I think just everything about it looks good. The cast looks good. The practical effects they seem to be using. I know I saw at least one monster that looked like a guy in a suit. And the sort of big battle scenes, or the glimpses that we saw in the trailer.
They look to be all people.
Seem to be like a lot of people on screen, a lot of armor and swords and not just CGI crap flying around. And then at the end of the trailer, when we do see that big spider monster, not bad.
I've seen worse CG.
It's CGI, but not bad. And like, it just got me excited. I was like,
we also see Geralt with Toxicity.
Yeah.
Which is from the games. Cool.
And
yeah, we saw... a nice nod to the franchise.
That's the other thing. Like, we see people using their magic powers. And I guess that's the thing is like, it's going to differentiate it from other, like at least Game of Thrones, in the fact that magic, even Lord of the Rings, because they don't really, except for Gandalf, like, it's going to differentiate it from other fantasy by like people actually practice magic.
Well, yeah, I mean,
like shoot beams and stuff.
Like Lord of the Rings is it's the highest high fantasy you can possibly get.
Yeah,
but it's presented at a low fantasy level. So it's like when you watch the movies, as you said, apart from Gandalf and the other wizards, not a lot of actually goes on screen.
Yeah,
it's mainly just hobbits wandering around hiding.
There's no Wingardium Leviosas.
That's what I mean. But with the Wheel of Time coming out, that's much more of a fireball-y kind of show.
They have incantations and stuff.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. And so it's going to be interesting because Game of Thrones was like, everyone loved Game of Thrones because it's not a nerdy fantasy. It's like even though really...
It is. It's very high fantasy.
Yeah, deep down.
Yeah. it's high fantasy masquerading as low fantasy.
Yeah.
It's because of all the politics and the intrigue and stuff. Yeah.
Which I think The Witcher will do well. The Lord of the Rings doesn't have as much because it's more about just real neckbeard stuff.
But because the world building is so deep, it's got all that stuff just inbuilt into it. It's just that's not what the movies or the books are really about.
Yeah, that's true. Apart from the Silmarillion.
Well, yeah, but
that's like the Bible.
Yeah, it's like
that's
the Bible.
Completely different.
Yeah, but yeah, The Witcher looks really good. I'm really excited for it, and hype.
Much hype, man.
Like, considering how much we've been talking about it without having seen anything in action, and now that we've seen it in action, like, wow.
We were worried at one point.
Oh, yeah.
With the suits, and some of the people were circulating some sort of pre-production suits and suits of armor and stuff like that.
People still complain about the armor because it doesn't look like your games and so on, but, it's just...
People were worried about the production of this show, but after having seen the first trailer, man, I'm stoked.
Looks great.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Hype. Should we go on the next one?
Yeah, moving right on.
Something else we've been waiting for a long time for.
Another massive hype.
Another thing we've been talking a lot about without having seen anything of. Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. Hype. Oh my God.
So, I mean, where to start?
Well, we just like to point out every now and again that Jason Lee's no longer a Scientologist.
Thank God for that. I was so sad. When I found out he was a Scientologist, I was so sad. I'm like, he seems like such a cool guy, And then it was not long ago, I think. You were like, no, he's not a Scientologist anymore.
No, it was like...
And it was like the greatest day.
He did an interview with some music magazine.
Yeah.
And the music magazine guy went to his house and
he's talking about Beck... Music magazine.
No. Jason Lee did
Jason Lee did an interview for a music magazine.
For a second, because Beck is also a former Scientologist, kind of.
Yeah.
And I thought
is he former or is he still in?
Beck was born into it.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
But he doesn't practice.
Yeah, okay.
So which is fine.
Yeah. Anyway, the only reason I mentioned is because you said music magazine.
Yeah, it was a music magazine that interviewed Jason Lee.
Okay, sorry.
And like they're at his farm somewhere in some random state in America. And he's like, oh no, we're not Scientologists anymore. Just like randomly off-topic conversation. And the interviewer's like, I'm going to write that down. Like apparently he hasn't been practicing for years. He just keeps quiet about it.
Yeah, because
private person. I don't blame
Scientology will destroy, like what do they call it when they go after you?
Oh man, there's a whole bunch of words. I can't remember.
There's suppressive?
Yeah, they label you a suppressive person.
Yeah, and then they like send people to bug
There was Operation Snow White. There was a whole bunch of different operations.
That one's scary.
Yeah.
All right, let's not talk about Scientology. We're talking about Jay and Silent Bob.
Okay.
Oh, my God. Welcome to the Tuesday Ramble.
So this film is a sequel to Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, which was filmed in 2001
or 2?
I think it was 2001.
Yeah.
Could have been later.
It was released in 2001, I think.
And essentially, so Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back is the first full-length film featuring Kevin Smith's famous Jay and Silent Bob characters.
Kevin Smith's films have always included Jay and Silent Bob as like small supporting characters.
Yep.
But this was he then made a movie based on those characters.
Yeah,
like
so their own adventure. Yeah. And they had to stop Hollywood from making a movie based on a comic book that they created called Batman and Chronic.
Yeah.
And essentially, that's their quest is to take how do two broke...
Yeah, it's like a road movie.
Yeah, how do two broke gentlemen, degenerates...
Stoners.
Actually physically get themselves to Hollywood to stop Hollywood making this film, which they don't legally have the rights to make. This is literally a reboot of that.
Yeah.
About Jay and Silent Bob having to go to Hollywood to stop a gritty reboot of Batman and Chronic.
Yeah.
Which is genius.
Yeah. So it's like a reboot of Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back,
and it's a sequel.
It's a sequel based around the idea that they have to stop a reboot of the Batman and Chronic movie, which they had to stop in the original Jay and Silent Bob. So, like, that's the joke.
It's meta,
pretty good.
yeah. But it's also a sequel of pretty much all of his other Music Universe movies.
And that's what like is so great about it, which we've talked a lot about. I think off air I think we mention it a lot. We mentioned Kevin Smith a lot on air, but like off air we've had the discussion a few times about how Kevin Smith almost died. He had a massive heart attack.
Yeah.
And this kind of renewed his lust for life and his passion for filmmaking and writing. And like Jay and Silent Bob Reboot is like the culmination of all his films, or all the films in the View Askew universe, and like it's a sequel to all of that. Like there's cameos from,
with the exception of Clerks, I believe, because he couldn't get all the cast from Clerks.
But Dante's in it, right?
Yeah,
but not Randall retired years ago, right?
But I know that Kev pitched a script to him, and he didn't want to do it.
So a little more information on this script. The script is really dark.
The
Clerks 3 script that Kev originally proposed.
Yeah.
Kev wrote... He says all this on Facebook.
Okay.
Kev wrote this script to Clerks 3 when he was a really dark point in his life, and the script reflects that.
Oh, okay.
So it's really almost a negative movie, but it's about death, and it's really depressing.
He also said it was one of the best scripts he ever wrote. But apparently he wants to rewrite the script, one that's full of hope and kind of this new energy he has.
Yeah.
And he's hoping to get the guy that plays Randall on board that way by saying, look, here's what we can do to round up the story. You know, I won't say a happy ending, but give it an ending we can all agree on kind of mentality.
Well, I mean, after like... Because... Like, the way I think we were talking about last week off air before the show started, and I said something like Kevin Smith's movies like Tusk and Yoga Hosers were like, it was just him messing around. It was just him going like, I had a dumb idea on my podcast, and now I'm going to make a dumb movie about it, and if people don't like it, it's not for them. And, you know, he got a little bit shitty about it.
Yeah.
And, you know, he was just like, it was just him just messing around. Like, it wasn't anything like
it was
really
less a feature film and more of an indie kind of movie.
Yeah, just an indie like experiment that he was, you know, him and his friends, you know, jerking around. And then he like had his heart attack, and now he's like, all right, I'm going to seriously make a sequel to the View Askew movies about like the View Askew characters, and it's kind of like a celebration of all those movies. And he got really into the filmmaking side of it. Yeah, so all the things he used to hate about filmmaking, he's now like, I can't wait to do it.
Yeah, it's like he gets up in the morning, he's like, I have to go scout locations, let's do this.
Yeah.
Which apparently he hated doing.
Yeah, so like all the things that he kind of was just like jerking around with his friends before, or was just like putting up with so he could make a movie, now he's just really excited.
He's just happy to be around.
Yeah.
And the trailer almost reflects that.
Yeah.
It's a very excited trailer.
Yeah. It's like, hey, there's that guy. Hey, there's that guy.
So, a bit more background on this, because after he nearly passed away, everyone's reaching out, because you remember when it happened on Twitter, everyone's like, oh my God, Kev, and all these people are sending him messages or whatever. So anyway, apparently he's making this film, and of course he couldn't get into contact with Ben Affleck because... one doesn't just contact Ben Affleck. You know, when you get to certain levels of stardom, there's like a process.
Yeah.
We've mentioned this interview that Callum's going to reference on the show we reviewed Triple Frontier.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So apparently someone says... So someone was interviewing Ben Affleck for just an entertainment TV piece.
Yeah.
And they're talking... And the first question...
Kevin Smith and Ben Affleck go way back, but they had a falling out.
Yeah, they were friends. And the joke from... I think the joke that Kev used once was, well, when he got together with J-Lo, he had to put away the game consoles and the comics. And essentially... That's probably what kind of distanced them apart because, you know, when you're dating J-Lo, I mean...
High maintenance.
Yeah, so anyway, the interviewer starts the interview by saying, oh, you know, did you see Kevin Smith's making a reboot? Would you like to be part of that? And he goes, yes.
Yeah.
Right, and so Kevin Smith says in a Facebook post, well, what else are you going to say? You say something nice you say for the press junket, you know, and then you move on. But apparently Ben Affleck was sincere and everyone around Kevin was like, reach out, just see what happens.
Yeah.
And so... There's a full-blown Holden McNeil sequel in Reboot. Like the character, Holden McNeil co-wrote the Blunt Man.
Yeah, so Ben Affleck, who plays Holden in Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back.
Yeah, and Chasing Amy, I believe.
Yeah, and he's coming back for Reboot.
Yeah, which is incredible because we've speculated before on air. It's like, will he not? You know, who knows?
Yeah.
It looked highly unlikely. We thought no. We thought maybe in the future, but not now.
Yeah, we thought if anything he might be playing Blunt Man, like because that would make so much sense since he just finished playing Batman.
In the gritty reboot kind of,
exactly. So it's like that would have been perfect.
Maybe that was too on the nose. Did Kev want to push it too far?
Well, my assumption is that...
You know, I think Callum's going to say the same thing as I am. We assumed that because they didn't mend their friendship until recently...
It was too late. They had to write
it. It was too late.
It was like that, they added in post or they just had
they wrote it in
scenes.
later.
But apparently Kevin Smith says that the Holden McNeil section of the film is like one of the happiest things he's ever filmed, and it's life-affirming. Okay. So I'm like, if that passion and that newly mended friendship might come across in the film, because apparently it's like the Holden McNeil stuff is really happy and kind of passionate.
Yeah.
So and also Matt Damon.
Yeah,
How can we forget Matt Damon? How did that happen? I mean Ben Affleck.
Loki? He died in Dogma.
Yeah, Dogma sequel.
Will Rufus come back?
I guess it's a sequel to all the VS.
And apparently also we found out just recently that he might have forged a new friendship with Bruce Willis.
Again, another...
Yeah, but as far as we know, that happened recently after the movie.
No, that's just like a factoid. It's like...
This is reasonably recent.
We can speculate there's a possibility within the next 10 years of a Cop-Out 2, which no one wants.
No, they shouldn't do that. If they are going to do something, they should do something different.
So that's just really weird.
Yeah, anyway, so the trailer. We talked a lot about Kevin Smith.
Trying to get back to the trailer.
So essentially... It's like a generational movie of sorts, I guess.
Yeah, so Jay finds out he has a daughter.
Her name is Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
So good.
Pretty good.
Which is why would I can't remember. I only remember
Justice?
Yeah. Yeah, why would she name her daughter Millennium
Maybe she's
Falcon?
a massive nerd. You don't know. Why are you gatekeeping?
Do you think Sean William Scott's going to be in it?
Oh.
Who's the dirty sheep? Anyway, so they essentially want the daughters the daughter essentially wants to go with them to Hollywood.
Yeah, to help stop the reboot.
And it's going to be interesting to see the dynamics at work.
And it's like the young and the old team up to, and then they go through the kind of same scenarios as in Strikes Back, but obviously like
in a more
modern context, and like in the meta kind of reboot, like self-referential context as well.
I also think it's going to be interesting because in 2001, like Comic-Con's always been big.
Yeah.
But in 2001, they don't really pay attention to that. It's just, let's go to the production studio or whatever.
It's a huge...
I'm pretty sure in this one, they're going to end up at Comic-Con because I think in the trailer, there's scenes...
You see Silent Bob dressed as like the original Iron Man with the grey armor.
Yeah.
And he's like fighting guys. And then, you see Q from Impractical Jokers... Like ask, is it James Van Der Beek? And, well, what's the other guy's name from Loser?
Jason Biggs.
Yeah. They're like on the Comic-Con panel talking about because they were
the original.
They were in the original Blunt Man Chronic, and they're talking about how the new reboot sucks.
We should state that the new Blunt Man Chronic are going to be played. Blunt Man is played by Val Kilmer, who was a Batman.
Yeah.
and the chronic is
I can't remember who's chronic.
Miranda Cates. Is that her name?
I can't remember.
The lady who plays Supergirl in the titular Supergirl.
That would make sense because Kevin Smith directs some of those episodes.
Yeah, and he was. That's why he was the first person. She was the first person he reached out to for the role. Because she has really good energy on set.
Yeah,
he wanted that, like that kind of energy she brings.
And also, it ties into the kind of generational like reboot, like
No, but it looks amazing.
Yeah.
When I first started thinking about this reboot, I'm like, I hope it's not too strict a reboot. I might find it a bit boring.
Yeah. Well,
but having watched the trailer, I don't think that at all.
I know when we've talked about on the show before the trailer came out, and I was like, it depends how they play the joke. If them like remaking quote unquote Strikes Back.
Oh, sorry, it's Melissa Benoist. I always butcher that name.
That's not close to what you said.
Yeah, no. Miranda Cates is from a different show. Is from a different show.
Yeah, but we talked about how... Because that's one joke. Saying, they're rebooting Blood Man and Chronic, and it's also a remake of Strikes Back, that's one joke. It's how they play that joke out. And the trailer...
It looks good.
It looks good because, it has more energy than just a one joke, and it has more, multi-generational...
Well, Kev has all that now going for him too.
Exactly, and that comes from Kevin Smith's renewed lust
we should also note that Millennium Falcon is played by Kevin Smith's real-life daughter.
Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the cast is stacked.
Oh yeah,
I'm looking forward to watching it, like getting it on Blu-ray eventually.
Yeah,
and just cameo hunting.
Well, I mean,
Easter egg hunting.
I wonder how many, because they showed a lot in the trailer, but I wonder if there's more that.
Although I'm hoping there's at least one surprise.
Yeah, I'm hoping Mark Hamill pops up somewhere.
The rebooted Cockknocker.
Yeah, he has to, even if it's just his voice somewhere, because that would make sense. You just
they play a trailer for the rebooted Blood Man and Chronic. You just hear his cackle or something.
Or Cockknocker is now a CGI motion capture thing, and
is Mark Hamill in a green suit?
Yeah. that would be funny if he comes out and he's wearing the green, the ping pong with the ping pong balls.
Yeah.
That would be funny. But I'm hoping basically I'm hoping that it has a few surprises up its sleeve.
I think it will,
because the trailer, as good as it was, I'm hoping you don't get to the cinema and it's this is just all the best bits were in the trailer of situation.
I think the surprises are going to come from the endings to the other films that we know are happening.
That's true.
It's going to be a little bit of dogma, closure, a little bit of...
Yeah, it also depends how that works into the film, because if it feels clunky, he's stopping the movie to talk about another movie, do you know what I mean?
Well,
it depends how he weaved that in.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be... I'm assuming all the interconnected stories are going to lead up to Comic-Con, because that seems like the thing to do.
Yeah, that
I
makes
guess.
sense.
But I know that at least Kevin Smith has said that with the Chasing Amy mini sequel in the film, it's 8 pages, which is the longest of the story elements that's not related to the reboot.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming...
I guess if it follows the Road movie, formula, it'll just be and now we stop at this part where they meet people from the old movie, and then they...
But I think you look at Kevin Smith's other movies, and there's usually pretty constant laughs. Pretty frequent, at least with, his classics Mallrats, Clerks.
At the very least, because this is technically his first View Askew movie since Clerks 2?
Yeah.
Am I remembering
that's correct.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And that came out in 2006 or 2007?
Been a while.
Yeah. So, this is not just him messing around anymore. This is
Well, this might be... I don't want to say this to sound too dark, but this could possibly be the last chance he has. When you nearly die...
I'm hoping that if this is good, and then he continues doing more,
Well, he wants to make Clerks 3.
This was in development hell for a little while, because he couldn't find financing
and
for it.
And he still wants to do another Mallrats somehow.
Yeah, he said that before. He's I'm not going to let that rest. He has these ideas he wants to get out. It's just finding an avenue which will let him. If you remember, he pitched it to Hulu, a Mallrats TV show.
Yeah.
And they were no. In my opinion, that's a mistake.
Well, maybe if this does well, if Reboot does well, he can shop that around again to maybe another network. And
Netflix. I don't understand.
We've talked about this before. He's the perfect filmmaker for Netflix. He's like a TV...
Low budget, has a cult name, willing.
Yeah. And people can complain all they want about how bad it is, but it's on Netflix.
And they'll watch it.
And you can watch it for pretty much for free, technically.
Well, that kind of leads into my only worry about this movie is outside of limited showings in America, we haven't really heard anything about international distribution.
I think it's coming out in October, if I remember correctly. If they announced it at all, I think it was October. But yeah, like... It's not an indie... It is an indie movie, but it's also not an indie movie in the traditional sense. So it might get some limited showing. But
well, it should be noted that Clerks 2 came out at the cinemas at Hoyt's. Like, Hoyt's showed Clerks 2. So, I mean, I was going to say they showed Cop Out, but Cop Out was a mainstream release.
That was a studio release, I think.
So there's a precedent. But whether that holds...
I think it's just...
Comes out the 15th of October.
Okay, yeah. So it's just big enough, if that's the right word, to release, normally. It won't get a superhero movie release, for 2 months, but I'm hoping it doesn't get pushed, I don't want to have to go to the Nova in the city, like...
We will if we have to.
I definitely. We'll go more than once, but, hopefully it does get a proper release.
Because Kev deserves that, at least.
Yeah.
For like a Viewers Universe sort of topper, like...
Yeah.
Give it a small run, guys. Come on.
Did you guys also see that trailer for that Jason Mewes movie?
No, I haven't seen it yet. Does it look good?
Madness to the Method, I think it's called.
Yeah.
It's like a super, super low budget, like shoestring budget.
His directorial debut.
Yeah, it's just basically about Jason Mewes plays himself or a version of himself. And how, like, he wants to be a serious actor, but no one takes him seriously.
That's also quite meta. I like it.
And it's basically just him running around Hollywood, like, running into famous people who I'm assuming just, did it as a favor to him and Kevin. Like, just a lot of cameos. Stan Lee has a cameo in it. They must have filmed that a couple of years ago. That looks interesting as well.
I'll have to give that a look up. Yeah. That sounds interesting.
Should we move on?
Yeah, moving on to the next trailer. Top Gun
Maverick.
Keen as a jelly bean.
You would be keen even if it was just Tom Cruise sitting on the toilet.
I'm down.
Let's face it.
I'm down with that.
However...
Hey, I don't live a lie.
However, this movie I'm actually excited for.
Does he fly the jets? I'm pretty sure he does.
No, but see, like, this is the thing. We've talked about this many times where it's like... Like how do I start this?
He's crazy and he does all his own stunts.
It's like we appreciate
I appreciate the risk he's willing to give to his own bodily harm. I butchered that sentence, but I appreciate the risk he's willing to take onto his own self for our entertainment.
Exactly, yeah. But that doesn't always work out in a good movie. But I think in this case, like we always talk about, they don't make movies with practical action effects and stunts anymore.
But the dude flew a helicopter in Fallout.
Yeah,
so
if you're Tom Cruise, you can get away with that. And so we're getting, like, this is what, like, when's the last time you saw, like, proper, like, real fighter jets on screen? Like, not since the 90s or early 2000s.
Soon
maybe.
You'll be one of us, James.
but that's the thing. It's like, you guys blindly follow Tom Cruise. I still have standards as to what movie, if the movie's bad...
You pick your battles with Tom Cruise.
Yeah, it's like, if the movie's bad but Tom Cruise is in it, no. If the movie's good but Tom Cruise is in it, yes, like... Yeah.
No, that's good. It's progress. It's progress.
Yeah. But I'm definitely more on board with Tom Cruise than I was before.
It's because Fallout.
But yeah, oh God, it's so good. But see, this is the thing, like, I don't even really like the original Top Gun that much. It's okay, like, it's good, it's okay.
I've never seen it all the way through.
Really? It's fine, and like we always say, like, it's one of those movies they don't make anymore because it's all about, the jets and stuff.
It's an icon of gay cinema.
And it is very... Val Kilmer's also in...
No, I only say that. I'm slightly saying that as a joke.
Yeah, no.
But it's also true.
It's hard to explain because...
The movie's very... unintentionally homoerotic.
Yeah, but I heard... So here's the thing, like, we're not being homophobic. This is literally how like, it's come about. I heard that originally the female lead, the romantic subplot, was only added in later after they realized they didn't have a romance in the movie. So in hindsight, when you watch the movie and it's got all the homoerotic like volleyball shirtless scenes,
we should say there is lots of shirtless scenes. There's men showering scenes, lots of
lots of oil dudes,
lots of oiled up guys and like bro fist pumping and stuff.
The rivalry between Iceman and Maverick, you know, and that tension. Like it became a joke, like a running joke.
But it was also it also turned into something more like pop culture-y, contextually kind of.
It's not in a negative way.
No, it's kind of coded in the way we look at things now.
Exactly,
it's coded in a certain way.
It doesn't. Yeah, I don't think anyone thought it was intentional.
No.
But the fact that they had to add that subplot in with the female lead, that kind of. I think someone maybe knew, and I don't know how true that is.
I would love to be in the little studio where they're watching a rough draft of the movie.
Yeah,
and one of the interns leans over and goes, "Is this a gay movie?"
But not that there's anything wrong with that.
No,
I think that's actually one of the things that I think makes the film charming.
I mean,
like when I think of Top Gun, like I think of two things: Danger Zone,
Danger Zone,
and then like oiled up men high fiving each other,
playing volleyball.
But see, that's the thing with the movie is like it's kind of a weird, stilted, disjointed movie that kind of feels like it's doing some weird different things. But because it's got cool fighter jets and rock music, that's what people love and remember about it, you know? And
I'm hoping we get an oiled up Tom Cruise.
Well, there was a volleyball scene in the trailer.
I'm sold. My ticket price has already been justified.
And I love the quote at the start of the trailer. Can't get a promotion, won't retire, and despite your best efforts, refuses to die. That almost sums up Tom Cruise. Because he tries so hard, and he's always like on the brink of being like this really actually respected dramatic actor in some of his films.
Like, I
and
feel
he pulls it back.
Yeah, no,
back
like
to action.
Because
like just sort of big stunts, and
he kind of went through a change. Like he was the new young like hot guy, and then he became the sort of respected kind of dramatic actor in his 30s or whatever. And then he became the action guy.
The running man.
And then he became the action guy who's crazy and does his own stunts.
Yeah.
And now he's
in between he's a bit of a meme.
And I mean but like now he's fully into that. He's like
he leans into the running, jumping.
His last like 10 years of films from memory like have just all been action and stunts.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is good. I mean, he embraces it. He says that he loves to bring audiences joy.
Yeah.
Like he likes the fact that we get excited when we watch his movies. That's what he goes for.
Well, his Twitter bio is running on film since whatever date it is.
Yes. I think we talked about that. He's at least a little bit self-aware.
Yeah.
No, but
sorry, you going?
No, he said on camera before that the reason he does his movies is because he wants to excite people. Yeah. And I think that's why I appreciate his movies. I'm never bored.
Yeah, but like I think this kind of ties into Maverick and, you know, the opening part of the trailer where it's like it's one of those roll your eyes, boring Hollywood, do a sequel to a beloved 80s classic, you know, 30 years later.
I mean, you say that, but they've been trying to get it made for years.
That's true too. But on top of that, now you've got that meta kind of Tom Cruise is a real stunt, you know, crazed, you know.
He's really aging.
Visiting the danger zone on the reg. Yeah. And so like he and like Nathan said, like he himself is kind of like Maverick. He's the hot shot, you know, trying to, you know, impress everyone, you know, like, and so like it's this weird like meta sequel of like the return of Tom Cruise, the return of Maverick, you know, like that hotshot pilot in the 80s, he's still doing that crazy, you know, stunt, you know, he's pulling stunts and, you know, doing monos on his motorbike, you know, like,
it's just like Tom in real life.
Yeah. And it kind of, you know, we talk about, you know, how when they do these long after sequels and they're like 30 years later and it's like, a lot of the times it's just a nostalgia jerk, like, you know, remember this, remember that.
I remember.
Yeah, and it's like, and in the best cases, they use that to further the characters in the story. So I feel like they can do that here. I know Christopher McQuarrie is co-writing the script.
Nice.
So I'm excited about that. But overall, like with the first Top Gun, which I'm not a big fan of, at the end of the day, it's about the stunts and the fight, like the fighter jets
and the dudes.
And from
and the dudes.
For you guys, maybe. But like but in the trailer, you see like a lot of real planes really flying.
Yeah. And hopefully that's what we'll see in this one.
Yeah,
because I don't think Tom Cruise would have it.
That's
any
what I'm
other
saying.
way.
Is in the trailer for this, that's what you see, and we don't see that in cinema anymore.
I feel bad for the guy who had to convince the insurance companies.
Well,
it's like, look, Tom Cruise, Mr. Cruise, Mr. Cruise
will be flying a plane.
Will be flying his own jet.
I mean, if you could get away with the helicopter
and the climbing of
in
that
Mission
tower.
Impossible, like. I feel like he can get away with sitting because what they do, they have like two-seater fighter planes, and then he sits in the back seat and the pilot sits in the front seat, and then they put the camera so the pilot does all the stunts and he can sit and like be filmed. I assume some of it will be, or most of it will be that, but I reckon there's going to be a couple times where he's fully in control. Yeah. If he did the corkscrew helicopter in Mission Impossible,
he can fly a plane straight.
I'm pretty sure he can fly.
I've mentioned this on there before, but I leaned over to Alan during that film, and I'm like, "Do you reckon he's actually flying that plane?" And Alan goes, "No."
Yeah, we talked about how like the helicopter in Mission Impossible Fallout, and then no, he did. And he learned to be a fully certified helicopter pilot in like 6 weeks or something, which is the shortest amount of time to become like, it's insane.
Anyway, moving on.
But one more thing. In the trailer, it looks like he's wearing like a space suit, not a space suit, but a sort of high orbit suit. So it looks like he's going to be doing some sort of experimental.
Cruise goes to near orbit.
Yeah, like experimental,
cool.
like high orbit plane, like
that.
Like that.
That would be cool.
Can we should mention briefly that in the trailer he re-wears an iconic jacket from the original, but the stitching on the back has been altered because there was was it the Hong Kong flag?
A
Thai flag?
There's some Asian flag on the back that's been on his original jacket.
So
that's been removed
because they want the film to go big in China. They altered the stitching on the back of his jacket, and they changed it so it's not politically insensitive to the Chinese.
So if they're willing to censor small things like that, how is that going to affect the rest of the movie? In the context of the first?
Yeah. I mean, that's just a thing in the world we live in now. Like the market in China is so big, and it's just opened up recently. So that's
an interesting factoid.
That's been happening a lot with video games and movies, and it's it's sad and a little bit scary, but I guess understandable from business point of view. But in that case, it's just a patch. Probably will not affect anything else in the movie. But there are some cases where it's like entire things have been changed just to appease the new Chinese market, and that's what I don't like.
Well, didn't they change one of the characters in Doctor Strange from a certain race to what's her name? The
ancient one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they changed the race.
Oh, that was a weird... we could have a whole discussion about how that makes... it doesn't make sense that they changed it. Oh, yeah, I guess because she's Tibetan, so they couldn't... Yeah, I guess they had to change it to... Yeah, but also if they did... no.
I'm sure we talked about that on the review.
Oh, I think... That was one of the first reviews I think I did. I don't even know if you guys were on that show.
Doctor Strange?
Yeah, were you guys there?
Would have been.
I can't remember. It was so long ago now.
Who knows?
Anyway.
Moving on to the next trailer. Watchmen?
I'm keen. It seems like... The problem is Alan Moore's work is so, for lack of a better word, legendary and influential that it's like... I do want them to keep using it, but I also want them to keep their dirty hands off my baby.
Yeah, it's a hard thing with any Alan Moore property where it's like...
Because I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's kind of...
Not to say I do understand it. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, it's a very specific piece of art.
Like Watchmen, V for Vendetta and but Watchmen... From Hell. But Watchmen especially has always been that one untouchable, unfilmable... book, and then they made the movie, and I liked it. There are parts of it I really like. There are other parts I really don't like. But overall, when I try to discuss it with people, I say it's the best case. It was the best case scenario.
Yeah,
it might have missed the point of the book in some places, but overall, considering what we could have gotten,
Yeah, I know.
It's not that
it's a good
bad.
thing they're not trying to make it now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not that bad considering. So this kind of continuation, on the one hand, it's like, just stop, just leave it alone. But it also looks quite interesting in the way that it's a sequel to the book and not to the movie. So that's the one that's interesting. And two, it like further explores the world.
We should note that the patron saint of comics, Alan Moore, does not own the rights to Watchmen, and I'm pretty sure
he doesn't watch. He doesn't. I don't think he owns the rights to any of his.
I think only
DC.
the League of Legendary Gentlemen, which is that even DC or was that a Vertigo?
I think that might have been Vertigo.
I don't even know if he owns the rights to that. I know he owns the rights to
because they made the movie of that.
Yeah.
So unless he got the rights back after the movie,
I think he owns the rights to Prometheus. Anyway, I don't know. He did not enjoy the Watchmen movie. He doesn't approve of any of it.
But he's famously against all screen adaptations of his work.
Yeah, that's
doesn't
true.
matter what. Like, he takes his name off all of them. If you've ever seen V for Vendetta or whatever, like, his name will never be on them.
It looks the trailer looks interesting. I'm just worried, as I'm not a massive comic guy. I'm just worried that.
Have you read the comic, Nathan? Because I feel like you have to read the comic to understand the show.
We have it. You can read it.
You have to read because the show.
I think I've read it once years ago.
You have to read it
because the show is a sequel.
That's what I'm worried about.
To the book.
If I don't read the comic, is it going to be lost on me?
Maybe.
I feel like, because there are things in the trailer that I want to talk about that are directly tied to what happens in the book.
Oh, you can spoil it for me. I don't care.
Yeah, no. But, like, that's also...
You can watch the motion comic.
I bought the motion comic on Blu-ray.
Like,
how does Alan Moore feel about that one?
How do I put this?
It's the one dude doing all the voices. Yeah, that's the worst thing.
I feel like it would have been okay if they got a voice cast. But the one guy doing it all is just grating and monotonous.
Yeah, I hate it.
Like, I was like watching it and I'm like, you know who would make a great voice for the comedian? Ron Perlman. And then I started being like, oh man, they should have really got a good voice cast. And then for people who don't read comics, at least you can, even though the motion comic is it's not a real animated, it's got just kind of like the panels kind of move. But just the one, because it's got the one guy doing the voices, it's just unwatchable. No offense to that guy.
Yeah. I'm sorry for...
They should have got Mark Hamill to do.
I'm sorry for putting it. I'm sorry for going off a tangent there.
That's right. But
yeah. So what did you want to talk about?
The Watchmen.
Spoiler alert for Watchmen.
Spoiler alert for the graphic novel and the movie.
Oh, also we're not talking about the. I'm not sure what happens in the after comics.
Oh yeah,
and frankly. I don't particularly care.
No, that's a case of just leave it alone. Don't touch Watchmen. No. But in this case, the show, I'm much more interested in this than I was in whatever the hell they were doing with that.
The show is not a sequel to the sequel comics, is it?
No.
Good, because I never cared about those.
No, and those should never exist.
Disgraceful, yeah.
So this is kind of a weird thing where I was kind of like, this shouldn't exist, but now I'm kind of interested. One, it's on HBO, which means great production value, no content restrictions, swearing, violence, nudity, sex. It's all going to be in there. So that's good. If any place that this could exist, HBO is a good place for. It would be interesting to see what this show would look and sound like if the movie never existed. Because whether you like or hate the movie, it does bring some certain things to life in a way that I feel like the show, even though the show's based on the books and not on the graphic novel and not the movie, it brings it to life in the same way.
It's like the Lord of the Rings discussion.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, because there are only certain amount of ways you can visually
depict something.
It's like cinematically depict something, so I would just be interested to travel to another universe where the movie never existed. What would this show look like?
Probably kind of, if I remember correctly, the Watchmen movie is pretty much scene for scene. Just
on the comic,
yeah. Except obviously it's a little darker, a little more gritty, because the animation style is very specific in Watchmen.
Wait. The Zack Snyder movie, is mostly, the visuals are ripped from the panels of the graphic novel, but then they change some things for to make the movie shorter and so on. And they changed the ending, which is the biggest change.
I can't even remember how the movie ends.
With the Dr. Manhattan, the explosion with the big blue bomb explosion in the middle of New York, and they blame it on Dr. Manhattan.
Oh, because doesn't the end of the comic
and the ending of the comics with the comics with the big space octopus.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Which in the show, because the HBO show is based on the novel, that's the canonical ending. So it'd be interesting to see how they deal with
the space
octopus and the sort of the plan. So how do I say it? What's interesting about Watchmen is, even though it's a self-contained novel and a self-contained movie, the implications of the ending, like, it's so interesting to explore.
Yeah, like
this show has the ability to do that. Yeah, to say, well,
what if he's a hypothetical?
Ozymandias' plan succeeded. However, in doing what he did to unite the world, he would have to redo that again in the future, probably, to keep people scared. So it'll be really interesting to see what they do in the show.
Did Ozymandias die in the end of the comic? Because it's been so long.
No. So
what?
He pretty much succeeds.
I know he wins.
Yeah. So, and Jeremy Irons plays the older version of him in the show.
Oh, nice.
Which is awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. But, like, that's interesting because, like, he's still around, and there's a bit in the trailer where they're, like, squids falling from the sky.
Is Dr. Manhattan still in it?
Yes.
Yeah, he's in the trailer. Noob question.
Yeah.
Do the superheroes in this, with the exception of Dr. Manhattan, actually have powers?
Yeah, they do. Ozymandias did actually have super speed, not the Flash super speed.
Not canonically, though. Only.
What do you mean?
Like, there's never any explanation as to his powers.
He's super fast. He's fast in the comics, isn't he? I've read the comics a bunch of times. I thought he was like.
As far as I know, he was just really smart and the peak of physical.
Oh man, I've got to Google this.
because other than Dr. Manhattan, like, there's no explanation as to where his powers come from.
Because that's the one thing I've wondered about Watchmen. I'm like, I know they're heroes, but are they actually, with the exception of Dr. Manhattan, the big blue.
No, they're just masked vigilantes, from what I remember.
Very good.
But yeah, like.
He's got lightning quick reflexes.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure in the comic it's inferred that his reflexes are like actually supernaturally quick.
I don't know if they never explore that though. Like, there's never any bit where it's like he's actually superpowered, you know? Like, it's just he's so physically perfect and mentally perfect.
Well, I know that he actually physically catches a bullet.
Yeah.
So in terms of like that super speed, he can catch someone fires a bullet at him. Yeah. He can grab it out of the air.
Like, in terms of real life, that would be considered a superpower. But in terms of the way the novel and the movie presents it, it's hard to explain. Like,
no, I know what you mean.
He's not a meta-human.
No, I kind of get what you mean.
He's just so.
I get what you mean, but I also do disagree.
Okay.
In the sense that I feel like Ozymandias.
Yeah.
Whether it's because in this universe there's no X-Men, there's no Superman.
Yeah,
I do feel like he does.
I feel like if he was canonically superpowered, they would have explored that instead of just.
But like, if a dude is so quick, you can't hit him with a bullet.
Yeah,
like you can't just say, oh well, he must have trained a whole bunch.
But that's what I'm saying is,
I also feel
realistically it doesn't make sense, but also they don't really explore that he has.
I'm also
powers.
pretty. There's also an inference that everyone has like that kind of slightly more than human endurance. Like that kind of, they can fight for an extended period of time. They can withstand punishment.
Maybe.
So it's more of a general kind of, like, it's like not to Captain America levels.
Yeah.
But they're like half soldier serum. In that sense.
But there's no exploration of that.
Yeah, no, that's not the point of the comic.
There's no point in the comic where they delve into either supernatural or scientifically granted powers other than Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, but I think
from some quick Googling, it basically says the only character with verified superpowers is Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, but like I said though, it's like with
it's basically just a slightly heightened version of
reality.
Like there's no meta-human, powers.
But it looks cool. It does look cool.
Yeah, what I was getting to was because Ozymandias is in the show as an older version. It exists in the show. Laurie Blake, Laurie, who Silk Spectre 2, she's now an FBI agent, and she's taken the name of her last name of the comedian.
Weird.
And I'm assuming there are going to be other sort of cameos and so on. And Dr. Manhattan
he certainly
comes at the end. So it'll be interesting to see how they explore, like how they continue what the book ended and how they answer the question the book ended with.
Yeah.
And I think it will
be slightly disappointing because
I don't
Alan
think
Moore's
it's gonna,
not writing the script.
I don't think it's going to live up.
I think that it's going to be eye candy.
I think
it's going to have some really cool episodes.
Yeah.
But it's also going to, in terms of the legacy of Watchmen, it's going to be a slight disappointment.
I think it'll be good, but at the end of the day, personally, and I think you guys will agree, it'll be seen as a non-canonical
completely supplementary material.
Exploration of a what-if scenario of what if
it definitely is.
The book kept going for 30 years and here's the...
And there's some competition, though. Because recently Amazon's released The Boys. So which will be better?
That's very
obviously now.
The Watchmen has
it's tonally very different.
Watchmen has an inbuilt legacy.
Yeah.
Whereas The Boys, I think the comic was popular, but it's not a legendary comic book classic. You know. So
I mean, and The Boys is very good. So it's a good time.
I really
it's a good time for adult.
The Boys.
Sort of, The Boys.
The Boys.
It's a good time to be a fan of more adult comics.
Yeah, definitely. But in terms of Watchmen, cautiously optimistic, a bit wary, but also I definitely want to see it. And I'll be interested to see how they explore the ideas from the book, and who else is gonna cameo? Are there gonna be other who's Louis Gossett Jr.'s character, the old man? He's this mysterious character, who's he going to be? Robert Redford plays the president, but plays himself as the president.
That's so good.
So I'm how are they going to work that in? Or is it just going to be a couple of cameos? I hope they kind of deal with that in the same way Nixon was a part of the original comic book. Rorschach's journal at the end of Watchmen, assumedly gets released to the public. Is that why in the Watchmen show there's a vigilante group of Rorschach, mask-wearing guys?
They all read his book.
Yeah, so there might be a cult of Rorschach. So these are interesting questions that the show can explore.
Well, but that's also very intriguing because that means that they're taking the comic graphic novel seriously. If they're exploring those elements of it, that's promising.
Yeah. Well, look, I think with a perfect transition, because we're running out of time, and we can talk about Watchmen for another 2 hours.
Oh man, could do the whole show.
I think Ozymandias is, of course, named after the poem by Shelley about an ancient forgotten king. And I think that our feelings after all this is said and done will be summed up with a quote from said poem: "Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair."
Yeah.
Which, of course, is that kind of personality he has in the book. Is that kind of, look what I've done, haha.
Yeah.
And, of course, at the end of Watchmen, it's despair.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's going to be interesting to see how his ego kind of works going forward. Because that's the whole point is, I can change the world. I'm Ozymandias. I'm this legendary kind of figurehead person.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how his plan continues 30 years on.
Which is that poem gets thrown around a lot in modern pop culture. I know that there was used in Prometheus.
Oh God.
We don't have to talk about that.
Alan Moore was hitting that property before it got hot.
We are all out of time for the live portion of the show.
Yes.
Continue listening if you're on the podcast.
Yeah, if you're listening live, Matt is not in tonight. So
you're in for some great tunes.
Check out the hot tunes we have here on the radio. But otherwise, if you're listening to the podcast, we have a lot more trailers to talk about. So we'll be back in a sec.
You're back on the Tuesday review. And now we are talking all about the new Picard trailer.
Yes, Star Trek Picard.
Now,
As someone who's never seen The Next Generation...
Oh, you should watch it.
I feel like looks really dark, and I don't think that's reflective of the next generation.
No, I mean, it's not reflective of Star Trek in general.
Old Star Trek.
It's just, real Star Trek. Real Star Trek.
And the Orville.
But, which is representative of real Star Trek. Yeah. But, like, I think it's just a symptom of, like, it's on Amazon and it's a modern sci-fi show, like premium.
Which worries me.
So, like, I'm hoping that I go full grimdark, but...
Would Patrick Stewart get involved if it was too grimdark?
I want to say no, but you never know.
But then money.
Yeah, like... I'm sure
he might be bored. Maybe he just wants to play Picard again.
I'm sure he, there's also... How do I put this? Like, they might have come to him and said, "Look, we're gonna explore more of Picard," and that would have just sold him. In terms of the overall tone and visual presentation, like, he's probably not involved in that, at least not into a deep level. You know what I mean? So it's like he's just happy to explore the character of Picard and continue that story.
So essentially, the trailer is about it seems like the show's going to revolve around them roping the second best Starfleet commander back into the business.
Who's the first?
Kirk.
No way. Picard way better than Kirk.
Never.
But yeah, I think I've been looking forward to this since they announced it. But obviously, Star Trek properties for the last 10, 15 years haven't been great. Discovery is a piece of shit, and I hate everything about it.
Can confirm.
The J.J. Abrams universe movies...
Mostly bad.
Like, they're very safe and boring, and...
The best part of those movies is always the Beastie Boys Easter egg.
Yeah, which you can listen to without having to watch the movies. So, but like, they're just it's the J.J. Abrams, like, he's the boring, there's nothing of substance.
Bloom.
Yeah, there's just
lots of lens flare.
But like, and like, one of the problems I have with all the new Star Trek stuff is, since Nemesis came out almost 20 years ago, every official Star Trek property has been a prequel. And that's what pisses me off the most. Enterprise was set before the original series. Discovery is set, like, just before the original series. And the J.J. Abrams universe movies are set, like, before the original series, but are also a sort of reboot / sort of prequel to that. And it's like, science fiction is about looking forward and exploring what the world would be like and what humanity would be like.
No, James. Science fiction is about jerking off existing properties.
Exactly. And this is the thing, is like, the Star Trek world, what's great about it is that you can skip ahead. Like Next Generation takes place like 80 years after original series or whatever. Like, why not just skip ahead 100 years and be like, okay, here's where the universe is at now.
Yeah.
Here's the political situation.
Here's a new commander, a new ship, a new crew.
Exactly. Like, the Romulans and the Klingons, they're old news, and here's, but the
Vulcans and finally starting to feel.
and they're kind of like, here's the political situation, here's the landscape, how it is now. And we never got to see that for years and years up until this point, which is why, even though this is only set, 20 years after Nemesis, I'm just happy to finally see a sequel.
Also, Picard has a doggo.
Which is the most important part, of course, Cal. Most important. So I'm just happy to see we're seeing a sequel. We're finally getting to see what happens after Nemesis. Now, on the one hand, because it's a sort of more focused on Picard show...
And because it's on Amazon, right? Just point that out. Because Jeff Bezos is a giant nerd.
Yeah. Also, he's got like... we should just we won't have time to mention it now, so we'll just bring later. So we'll bring up... Carnival Row is also an Amazon property.
Yeah.
And that's nerdy as shit. I love it. Jeff Bezos is like the patron saint in neckbeards.
We love you, Jeff. Please save the planet, but we love you anyway.
Save the planet first, then make nerdy shit later. But what was I saying? Yeah, so it's set in the Prime universe, which, thank God, it's an actual official sequel to set after Nemesis. Thank God for that. Because it's centered around Picard, it won't probably explore the whole larger situation.
That's understandable.
But it's still, at least we get to see how things have evolved since then. And what's great is that, and they kept this a secret, which is hard to do, is that Data is in the show. And so apparently Riker and Troy are also apparently part of the show. And 7 of 9 is in the show. And so that I'm hoping that eventually, even if not in this season, then in the next season, then Geordi and Worf will,
you're just itching for a continuation of Next Generation.
It's the next generation.
Exactly. So, I know it's focused on Picard, and these characters probably won't have recurring or not roles every week, but at least we'll get to see some sort of sequel or reunion there. So that's fun. But yeah, in terms of the actual Picard show. It looks a bit grimdark. It has a few of the visual flourishes of the J.J. Abrams universe, which is kind of understandable, but I would like a more, perhaps, restrained or classic look to it. But I think some of the uniforms look really good, and
I just think I just hope that it introduces newcomers like me well enough. It's not going to just throw me into obscure knowledge.
Well, see, I feel like you'll definitely have to.
I mean, obviously, I know that I would get the most out of it if I had seen the show.
Yeah.
But I hope that it's simple enough in its premise I feel like for me to be able to pick it up and enjoy it.
Because it seems like the premise of the show is about a new, Picard gets a new crew. Not in any official, Starfleet capacity, but it's a bunch of ragtag crew band together, and they get Picard to be their captain to help this young girl who needs Picard's help. So I'm assuming that can, I guess, form the basis of just any casual watcher. But yeah, I guess in terms of exploring Picard's character more and continuing his arc,
the relationships between
and the relationship between the old characters, you'll definitely need some knowledge. I think at the very least you can just watch the Next Generation movies.
I'm pretty sure you can also just you don't need to have watched the original series to get into the Next Generation.
Oh, no, yeah, no, not particularly, no.
Because, I'll tell you, I love the original series. Like I said, Kirk #1. But I haven't watched the Next Generation.
Yeah.
And I'm keen to watch it. Give me an excuse. Don't twist my arm too hard.
But, yeah, no, if anything, you can just watch the Next Generation movies. Mm. So that'll obviously take a lot less time than watching the whole Next Generation show.
We all know that Picard is a loose cannon after he gets controlled by the Borg. So.
Well, see, that's the thing is this show seems to mark the return of the Borg. At least we see a Borg cube in the trailer and 7 of 9 cameos in the trailer. So I'm assuming the show is going to be partly about that, and that's always been tied to Picard's character.
Because he's weak.
How much of the show is going to be about that? I don't know. There's this mysterious girl who, is she's the savior or she's a weapon. I don't really like that. I feel like that's been done too many times before. It feels like a J.J. Abrams thing. Here's the hot female weapon.
The Lilu.
Exactly, the kind of Lilu thing. It feels like I've seen it a million times before.
It is a trope.
And I'm hoping she's not just
It's a sci-fi trope, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I'm hoping she's not just a Borg...
plant.
Yeah, no, she's because they say something like she's dangerous and you don't know what she is and stuff, and I'm like,
she Borg.
I'm hoping she's not like a Borg / a Borg human hybrid or something, and I hope they don't do that because I feel like I've seen that before, and yeah, I want the show to go somewhere. Perhaps I know the Borg are important to Picard, but in his journey, but I hope they do something a little bit different.
You mean it's the next frontier? You want them to go to somewhere they've never been before?
The more finaler frontier.
Yeah, that's it.
The even more finaler frontier. But yeah, I'm really excited, but yeah, just cautiously optimistic like a lot of these.
What would be great? If they can get the gentleman who played Kirk,
Patrick Stewart. No,
William Shatner.
Never mind.
I want him to.
You're talking about how much you love Kirk. You don't even know who plays him.
I know who plays him. I just had a brain fart. I want him to get ripped and hit the gym, and then he can make a cameo to save the day.
No, you should watch. Oh no, I was going to say you should watch Generations, but Kirk dies in that. He dies like a bitch. Gets crushed. You little bitch.
Well, can I just say, didn't Shatner want to make his own movie or something where Kirk lived, or was that a book?
I think probably both. Knowing him, he was probably like, and then Kirk comes back because he can't let that shit go. Should we move on?
Yeah, moving on. The King's Man. This is the prequel to the Kingsman movies.
Yeah, this surprisingly looks really, really good.
Ray Fiennes, right?
Yeah.
It's very surprising.
Like, when they announced it, I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. I like the Kingsman movies.
I just thought, they're fun, but it's going to be a boring prequel.
Yeah, or like, that's a fun idea. They'll do the same thing they're doing, but in World War One.
Yeah.
But the trailer looks dope.
Can I just say,
I was like, what?
We won't really have enough time to talk about the Pennyworth trailer because we got.
Do we have to talk about it?
No. What we'll do? 10 minutes before the end, we'll include everything that we haven't talked about up until 10 minutes.
The similarities between the Kingsman and Pennyworth aren't lost on me.
Yeah.
I feel like Pennyworth is like the cheap version of the Kingsman.
Yeah, it's the.
I'm like,
I'm
like, I see what they're trying to do with Pennyworth, but I'm like, now here's how you do it correctly.
Yeah, but like, it just looks.
It looks good.
Yeah, like
even some of the cinematography. I was just like,
it
nice.
It looks like I mean, it's just an initial trailer, but like, it looks like they might be doing a slightly more serious than the Kingsman movies.
I think I agree.
Well,
with you.
I remember. Look, when you were telling me before, I've seen the trailer.
Yeah.
When you were explaining it to me before I'd seen
Yeah.
it, you're like, Rasputin's the bad guy.
Yeah.
I was like, sold.
Oh yeah, I was like.
And it makes perfect sense.
Rasputin's the bad guy, and there's a slow-mo scene with the assassination of Franz Ferdinand.
Like sold.
Like the grenade exploding under the car, and I'm just like, this movie's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Like, and there's like, he's like fighting Rasputin, and like there's this whole like World War One No Man's Land battle scene.
Yeah, that's so sick.
Like, looks, and yeah, like, it's crazy how this kind of, I don't want to call it dumb, but this kind of silly... silly spy. Yeah, this kind of silly spy, almost parody. From the creator of Kick-Ass. And now they're doing this prequel, and I'm like, this is an interesting.
It's becoming a serious
cinematic universe.
Yeah, it's becoming a serious property now.
Yeah, I'm like, because not only are they doing this prequel, then they're going to do Kingsman 3, which is set after Kingsman 2. Like they're going to do a sequel with Eggsy. And continue the modern day story as well. But then I'm like, if that's the last modern movie, then they could rewind it back and do a sequel to The King's Man, like, set in the 20s or whatever.
The thing about the Kingsman prequels is they could do one in the 60s and it'd still be cool.
And like, it's kind of like, we were talking about James Bond, I think, last week, and we were kind of like, what are they going to do with it? Maybe they should just end it.
No, I'm like, rewind it back to the 60s.
Yeah, and I'm like...
De-age Sean Connery. We're good. We got the technology.
In terms of James Bond, I feel like they would never do that. They would never compete with themselves in making a prequel and then making a modern day,
Yeah.
But The Kingsman is just like, we're going to do a prequel and then we're going to do the sequel. Yeah. And then potentially, I don't think this is planned, but potentially, you could do another prequel and then another sequel. And there's even been rumors of the Statesman spin-off.
I'd be
they
down.
introduced the Statesman in the second movie, So, like, this is becoming a really interesting cinematic franchise, with a lot of potential. I'm really excited for it.
Involved with this one.
Yeah.
It looks pretty fucking epic.
Yeah, the cast is really good. And I'm interested to see what they do with the franchise in the future.
Yeah.
Looks cool.
So our next trailer we're talking about is probably our most anticipated movie of the year.
Yeah.
Jojo Rabbit, Taika Waititi's newest movie that's a World War II sort of
Satire.
Nazi Hitler satire film.
Yeah. Like, any movie Taika does, I'm down. I'm there day one. He's just one of those really interesting, really creative filmmakers.
Hilarious dude as well.
And hilarious as well. So when they announced this, I was like, sold. But like a lot of the trailers we've been talking about, it's not until you see the trailer when you fully realize how amazing it's going to be.
I was working on some notes last night, and I rewatched the trailer. I watched it when it came out, but I rewatched it, updated thoughts. And I just put movie of the year, question mark.
I think this might be my most anticipated movie.
I'm just upset that they didn't get a white man to play Hitler.
Well,
no. As a Nazi, I was very offended
as a Nazi
by the
and
whitewashing. Yeah, as an incel, I was very upset with the whitewashing of Adolf Hitler.
We were talking about that before we went on air, and how Taika's got balls. Like he's not afraid to piss people off. He's not afraid to stir up trouble and controversy. Joke? Yeah, no, definitely. 100, yeah, because if that wasn't a joke, we're gonna have problems. But but like, and people are actually saying shit like that. He's not someone to back down, and like he's got the balls to make this movie and make this movie funny without it being cringy.
Yeah.
But people are having those dumb reactions, as they always do.
What? Why are you wasting your energy on
these degenerate sick people come out of the woodwork.
This is Donald Trump's America. Leave white supremacy alone.
But I like how some guy on Twitter was like, no, it was on Reddit, I think. Some guy was like, I'm a little uneasy about the casting of Taika Waititi as Adolf Hitler. Weren't there any white actors who could have taken the role? And then Taika responded with, "Frickin' Polynesians taking all the white roles." like he doesn't give a fuck. Like the fact that he made this movie about it's about a young boy who's in the Hitler Youth,
and his imaginary friend is Adolf.
Yeah, and he obviously going through all the trials of being a young Nazi, having to live up to being the ideal human,
the Übermensch.
Exactly. But he's a bit weaker and a bit slower. Yeah, no, you got it right. And he's a bit weaker and slower than his friends, and they make fun of him.
It's not about being a Nazi with strength. It's about being a Nazi
with heart.
That's right.
And so to cope with that, he visualizes Adolf Hitler as his imaginary friend to help him cope. And Taika Waititi plays Adolf Hitler, yeah. But what's not shown in the trailer is that there's a point where Jojo, the main character, the kid, his family are hiding a Jewish girl in their house. So he's going to have to confront his kind of belief or his upbringing in, the Nazi
Is this based on an existing property?
I don't know. Actually,
or is it an original?
Look it up. I'm pretty sure Taika wrote it, but whether he wrote it based on something, I think there's a comic book with a similar premise. Maybe it's based on that comic book. Anyway, but yeah, it's just, and the fact that he can make such a good, it's gonna the trailer's hilarious.
Yeah,
and obviously it's got a great cast and it looks great, looks fantastic, visually. But yeah,
it looks so good.
Will it get a wide release?
I hope so.
I think so. It's just enough of
a spectacle.
No, it's just enough
mainstream,
of
big film.
Yeah, it's Taika's coming off of Thor.
He's hot and
it's got some big name stars.
And it's made by Fox Searchlight, distributed by Disney.
It might just slither.
Disney? That's distributed by Walt Disney Studios.
That's ballsy.
Under the Disney banner?
Yeah, production company Fox Searchlight, distributed by Disney.
Yeah, but they won't put the Disney logo
it's Fox
on it.
Can
you imagine that, the little castle and then...
That would be funny.
It's swastikas unfurled on the castle walls.
They should do that with the Fox Searchlight. They should change it so it's there's got the...
like an actual prison searchlight? Yeah. Oh, my God.
It's based on a book.
Okay, yeah,
the book
is
is called
book.
Caging Skies.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, it looks really funny. And
it looks amazing.
Wait.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
Hopefully movie of the year. I really like the look of it.
Oh, yeah. No, looks great.
Moving on to something a bit different. This is HBO as well, yeah? Hey, His Dark Materials.
Oh, we're going to skip It?
Oh, sorry, I put It last. Never mind. We're talking about It.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're going to... It comes out in a month. So we're going to talk about that soon anyway.
Got to finish the book. Not even halfway through.
So you're only up to page 800?
560. Yeah.
This movie looks good.
Yeah.
I think the only concern I have with it is it's going to have to pack a lot in.
Well,
I actually have a criticism.
Okay.
And this has also been reflected in some people who have seen early cuts of the film, who are also mentioning this. In the book, in roughly the middle part, and the reason I'm talking about this is I've just read the part that this is referencing.
Yep.
Now, in part one of the rebooted It, Mike Hanlon sees people burning in a door. Right? You know what I'm talking about? That scene where
because he's afraid of fire.
Yeah, no. So in the original book, his father was a a GI in like pre World War II. Anyway, whatever. The GIs weren't allowed to go into town to drink with the white people because segregation and race and all of this.
Yeah.
I think it was pre World War II, so it would have been World War One. Okay. Anyway, so they built their own bar, and that was called the Black Spot. And,
someone burned it down.
Yeah, and a whole bunch of Negroes died in the Black Spot when it got burned down.
But
they're removing all. There's an important scene in the future where Mike Hanlon remembers his dad talking to him about the hatred of the town and how he does. Of course, his father doesn't know what it is, but he saw something when the Black Spot was burning down, and he's like, it feeds off it, off the suffering. And there's a really important part about racial tension in the town of, in not only like, it's like Maine, like and it's like talk about the town of Derry and the race relations, and it's a pivotal part of Mike's character and the character of his dad. They remove pretty much all traces of that from the movie. And it could have been used to illustrate more of the backstory.
If I remember correctly, when we reviewed the It Chapter 1, one of my criticisms was they kind of... because there's so much to get through and because there's so many main characters, main kids, they had to cut out a lot and rush over a lot, and they didn't really get to the kind of... individual motivations and individual backstories to all the kids, which on one hand is understandable, but on the other hand is now going to lead to a greater problem in the sequel, where they're not going to be able to go back and explore, and
that's one of the pivotal parts of Mike's character, and they're just kind of removing it entirely, from what I understand.
Which, I mean, the movie has been confirmed to be 2 hours and 45 minutes, which I'm actually happy for, because
it's good. No, it's good, but is it going to be long enough?
Yeah, because they can actually pack in a lot of the world building and the character building that we always really want, but also there seems to be bits in the trailer that almost seem to be pointing at showing the origin of Pennywise, or and also the kind of cosmic climax of the book. How they're going to deal with that? Are they going to explain that? So I'm glad that it's that long. But rolling it back to Chapter 1, at the end of the day, there are things they didn't set up there, and that now they're going to have to pay off, and just I think we're going to. I think it looks really good, but we're
going to have a mixed review. I reckon, like we're going to enjoy it, but there's also going to be problems. I think that I'm sure we talked about this in part 1, but it should have been like a 10-episode, 1 hour each episode kind of series.
Yeah, I think, look, without Chapter 2 having come out yet, and without us having seen it, we can't really say definitely.
That's
but
fair.
For me, just based on Chapter 1, which I liked but had problems with, I think in the future they could do another adaptation.
I mean, casting Adam Sandler as Pennywise was a bold choice.
Yeah,
I don't think it paid off.
I don't think it pulled it off. This is the thing. I think the casting for the kids, perfect.
On point. Yeah.
Perfect. The casting for the adult version of the kids in the Chapter 2, perfect. 110%. I'm down.
Flawless, yeah.
Casting for Pennywise, I'm not a big fan of Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. Like, it's kind of like if Adam Sandler played The Mask instead of Jim Carrey. He's like, he's like tongue. Did you see the bit in the trailer where his tongue's? It's just kind of like too. And also one of the problems I had with the first movie, and even though I think some of the bits in the Chapter 2 trailer like look really creepy and like visually look really good. There's some crappy CGI, but some of it looks really, really fantastic. But one of the problems I had with Chapter 1 was it was trying so hard to be scary that for me, it ended up being funny.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping they don't continue that, where they push things so far that it becomes absurd and becomes funny instead of scary.
I think they probably will go that direction because they want to keep it tonally.
That's what people like, though.
They want to keep it. Probably they want to keep it as a companion piece to part 1.
Yeah, and it's the same director, same same crew. I'm assuming mostly. So, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. Like, I think in the future, I would like to see another It adaptation.
Yeah, give it a few years. Yeah. Another 20 years. Let's see what. Yeah. How.
I think we talked about in the Pet Sematary review. It's like Stephen King novels, like. That
once a generation.
Yeah, it's like maybe another 20. Yeah,
they're cyclical.
20 years. Yeah. Like it himself, like Pennywise himself.
Every 26 years, I want to see a new hit movie.
Yeah, they should do that. They should do that. All right, so yeah, we'll move on to His Dark Materials, which another HBO big fantasy show. I'm down. I'm excited.
I haven't read the books.
No, neither have I.
But fuck, I'm keen.
Yeah, like we keep talking about all these fantasy series, all these sci-fi series. Great time to be alive.
Great time to be a nerd.
Great time to be alive in a pop culture sense, but perhaps not in other senses. But anyway, yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah.
Like weird and
yeah,
like
looks good.
Kind of steampunky.
Now, from what I understand, they left a shitload out of the movies when they tried to make the movies.
Yeah, well, they made that one shitty Golden Compass movie, which they tried to make like a kid's Harry Potter adventure movie, like Narnia adventure movie.
And they left a whole bunch of stuff out.
And they left out all the dark, like weirdness of the book.
It's called His Dark Materials.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's about some like heavy shit. Like there's a deep like religion and sort of philosophy to some of the book that's not in the movie.
Am I right in assuming people have familiars in this sort of world?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what I sort of gathered from like people having pets and stuff.
Yeah, the monkey.
Casting them.
From what I understand, the show's going long form, is it? Like, what? How long is it in terms of, is it going to be bigger than 2 hours, longer than 2 hours?
The show?
It's a series.
Yeah, so how many episodes are there?
I'm assuming 8 to 10.
Yeah, because that's what I was hoping, because I only saw the trailer. I haven't read any articles.
No, it's a HBO series. It's not a mini-series or a movie. Yeah.
HBO is a good place for it.
Exactly.
So I'm hoping they unfurl the books. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and they can explore and yeah.
And they haven't got the Game of Thrones budget to worry about.
Well, it's HBO, so they pump a lot of money in regardless. Like, did you guys see the Westworld Season 3 trailer?
No, but I haven't watched Westworld Season 2 yet, so I was just like, I can leave it.
But Season 3, the trailer, like, it visually, I'm like, they must be, like, I know it costs a lot of money. Like, I know the Westworld costs a lot of money, but Season 3, I was like, they must be pumping, like, Game of Thrones money into this. This is huge.
Well, see, the thing about Game of Thrones is it earned them a lot of dough.
It did.
So they've got money.
They put it in, but they got it out. See, that's what you have to learn.
Also,
you put the money in, you get it out.
Made them a lot of money.
Yeah, you have to spend money to make money. So don't. I'm talking to all the TV executives and movie executives out there who listen to the Tuesday Review.
Unless you're Amazon Prime, in which you just get B movies and we love it.
Yeah, but in terms of their original shows and movies, very, very high production value. They pump a lot of money in. But
$1 billion in some cases.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, talk about Game of Thrones money, but then talk about Lord of the Rings money, Amazon, Bezos money.
Bezos money.
Bezos has. There's fuck you money. Then there's fuck you money. Then there's fuck you money.
Then there's fuck you, I'm going to make a Lord of the Rings MMO and TV show.
Then there's
money.
I'm Jeff Bezos, I'm going to make a Lord of the Rings MMO and TV show and spend billions of dollars. Deal with it. You know, the sunglasses come down from the sky and just land on his head.
You mean the shirt of Mithril comes down?
All right, what's the next one?
Zombieland Double Tap.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. Looks good.
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
So, when the original movie came out a decade ago, I loved the shit out of it.
Yeah.
I still enjoy that movie a lot.
I liked it, but I never loved it as everyone seemed to love it so much.
They killed off Bill Murray, though.
Thing is, I was one of those dudes, James, I loved the fucking shit out of the first movie.
Yeah.
And now, if you told me 8 years ago, Zombieland 2 Double Tap's coming, I would have been pumped.
Yeah.
10 years later, I'm not so pumped.
Yeah.
Leave it alone.
And also, like, because it's set in a universe that's basically barren, like, you know, it's just zombies and occasionally you come across survivors, there's not a lot of world building that I think they're going to do. At least
it's going to be the same sort of...
Yeah, so it's like we're doing the same thing again.
I'm worried it's retreading the first movie.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's going to be funny and there's going to be some cool zombie gore violence.
Yeah.
But the first movie was perfect for me. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
I don't want them to ruin the first film.
It's like how much more can you do, really?
Yeah. Like, if you told me years ago that there's a sequel coming, I would have been pumped.
Yeah.
But now the characters are all 10 years older. The actors are all 10 years older. Well, I'm assuming the characters are 10 years older.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing
they might not be.
They can't really.
Yeah,
well,
but they have to age up Abigail anyway.
Yeah, but it's like I don't know how they're going to deal with it in the movie, but from what I was saying, like they can't really deal with that in any meaningful way.
No,
it's just like they're 10 years older, but they're still doing the same thing.
Yeah, so it's like, what kind of character growth are you going to get? Because that was basically the point.
Character and world building is going to be in the same state it was 10 years ago. And
I'm just look, I'll watch it. It'll probably be funny, but I don't really want it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's. I mean, too little, too late. But yeah, I don't know. Like maybe it was just never a movie that really needed a sequel. Like even though when it came out, people like when Zombieland 2, and people have been asked. To be fair, people have been asking for this for 10 years.
Yeah, that's true. But at
the end of the day, was it a movie that needed a sequel?
No, it didn't. I think it ended. From memory, the ending was fine. I think they could have just left it.
Yeah, we'll see it.
Yeah, we will.
It doesn't look bad. It
looks fun. Yeah. But I just, as a fan, quite a big fan of the original.
Should we mention Carnival Row?
Yeah, let's talk about Carnival Row because I'm actually excited for this.
Some Neil Gaiman-y nerdy ass shit from Bezos again.
Like, so this is on Amazon as well.
Because all the fantasy shit's going on Amazon now.
But that also means that one, it's got a huge budget and great production value.
Boom.
Yeah, but two, on top of that, it's got
Cara Delevingne or whatever.
Cara Delevingne, yeah. Also, I think I saw Jared Harris in the trailer. But anyway, because it's Amazon, it has the production and the money behind it. But also because it's Amazon, they can do all the weird, violent sex shit and all the swearing and all that. So they don't have to worry about shying away from that. What's also interesting is that it seems to be based on like Celtic like myths and like fairies,
old school fairy mythology.
Yeah, like very American gods. Very
like pan creatures.
Yeah, like kelpies and fauns and like which. I mean, has been explored, but not in any mainstream movie or TV show, I think.
Usually when these kind of like fairies, for lack of a better word, fairies are explored in pop culture, it's the more modern version of the fairy where it's like the little girl fairy. Like the kind of the friendly version of the fairy.
These are like fairies, like FAE fairies.
Yeah. So fairies, like modern fairies, are like the pixies with wings, like Tinkerbell, and they're very lovable, kind of
like
approachable creatures. Yeah. But ancient Celtic fairies,
they nasty.
They ate human flesh. They like I should say they drank human blood in the old stories. I'm not talking about like in Thomas the Rhymer, one of the original medieval fairy stories. Yeah. Like if you go there, you're trapped there. Yeah. They drink human blood and all kinds of nasty shit. Yeah, it's like it's like the dark kind of original version of the myth that you don't hear about anymore, Yeah, like, you had to kind of like you would leave offerings at these places so they wouldn't like torment you.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see that kind of like a European kind of
but in this universe they get along, and this is before there was a rift between the two.
But I'm saying like, because usually, like you said, but like usually you have, if you think of like fantasy creatures, it's, you got your standard elves, your trolls, dragons. This is more like, like a European centric, like
an old school almanac kind of creatures book.
Exactly. And it's set in a sort of,
urban,
like turn of the century,
early
London,
20th century, late 19th century,
kind of pre-industrial-ish,
like
slightly
pre-world, like World War One-ish kind of like because there's Orlando Bloom plays like a human soldier, who fights against the fairies or the magical creatures in a sort of war. And then after the war
he escapes a battle or something and goes back to the city
after the war, the kind of mythological creatures kind of refugees, and it's got this kind of immigration,
and there's a lot of parallels we can take to today's society.
And I like that, and they can deal with like all the weird stuff, because like there's bits in the trailer where the fawns are like self-flagellating and
that's weird.
Like it's like a weird kind of, and they all work in this there's like a slum, like a ghetto. So this looks cool,
and it's and hopefully it's sending the right kind of message we need in today's world when there's a lot of hate going on. And the message won't be lost. It's like, sure, it's a fantasy race instead of a real group or demographic, but it's like the message is
the same. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And like, because I thought most of these properties that we talk about are based on books or comics or,
Yeah.
But this one seems to be like an original show, which is quite interesting.
I'm down.
Just as that show deals with hate crimes, the next hate crime we're talking about is Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends.
Oh, God. I can't wait for Halloween to end.
But Danny Bride said it's not necessarily going to end with that movie.
Danny McBride, please. God.
Make it stop.
Make the bad man stop. Like, as someone who's like a big fan of the Halloween franchise, like, even the shitty, like, even the shitty, like, Halloween 4 and 5 and 6, like, there's a kind of, fun B-slasher movie kind of, thing to it, like, I like watching all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, even the shitty ones, there's a sort of...
Even that one they made in the 90s or whatever, where he comes to the real world.
If you're talking about New Nightmare, that's really good.
Oh yeah, I think that is the one I'm talking about.
That movie's fucking dope.
I thought it was alright.
That's the one, but that's the one where they're making a movie. They're like making...
Yeah, it's like a meta...
Yeah, that's, I've seen that a few times. That's a good movie.
No, that one's good. But anyway, like there's that kind of fun B-movie... Like there's these horror movies, they're cheap, but they make heaps of money, and so they churn out all these sequels, and you got the classic franchises like Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, and Halloween. And it's like...
Michael Myers goes to space, just like they did with Jason X.
Yeah, well, Halloween Ends hopefully can end in space. But yeah, like...
Sorry.
But so there's that fun, and I enjoy that kind of cheesy kind of 80s
just
kind
get
of...
rid of the budget.
Yeah. But also, I'm not delusional. The only good one is the first one, really. Yeah. Like, when it comes down, the second one's all right.
Didn't even have Michael Myers in it.
No, you're talking about 3.
Oh, my bad.
You're getting all confused here with your horror movies.
Season of the Witch or whatever.
Yeah, Season of the Witch is actually not a bad movie, but it suffers from being part of the Halloween franchise, where it's like it should have been Anyway, what was I getting at? Yeah, so
you like the first one.
Yeah, the first one's good. Anyway, my ultimate point was this Halloween 2018. Soft reboot / sequel that ignores all the sequels except for the first movie. I was kind of like, what are they doing here? Wasn't completely against it. Was interested. Saw it. Didn't like it. I don't think it's a good movie. And I think it does a lot of the same crap that we've already seen in previous movies, especially H2O. But I think Danny McBride, who's also a fan of the whole series, he seems to be trying, we complain about nostalgia jerking and stuff. Like, he was trying to pay homage to the older movies, but also was trying to make a gritty reboot that's, its own thing. And then that movie ended, and then they're making 2 more, Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, back to back, 2020 and 2021.
I feel the same about this film that I did about the last Alien movie.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it too much. I just feel like that energy and make a new IP.
Exactly. But it's just like, at this point, I'm just like so tired, and I'm like, just don't do it. But also, it's kind of fascinating in the same way.
Like watching a car crash?
Yeah, and it's kind of got this grindhouse kind of cheesy quality to it, where they're just stretching out this dead franchise. but whereas the 80s movies were fun because they were 80s slasher movies, these movies have this kind of gritty digital polish to it, and it doesn't have that same
It takes away the cheese.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, because I've got all the other Halloween movies on Blu-ray, even the shitty ones, like, it would be fun to get these 3 movies and put them beside it, even though I probably will just never watch them again.
You know what they need to do? They need to film it entirely in low-quality film print.
Yeah.
Like real bad quality, like grainy.
Yeah.
It needs to be really poorly written, really poorly shot.
Yeah, I mean...
make it basically an indie movie with actual actors in it.
I feel like we talked about this once quite a while ago, where if you're intentionally trying to make a B-movie, it doesn't work.
No.
Like, you end up with something like Machete, which, I mean, was fun, but doesn't really have the same... Yeah. Actually, okay, so now you've got me onto something else. Hobo with a Shotgun, starring the late Rutger Hauer, who just passed away, unfortunately. That's a really good, homage to cheesy grindhouse B movies. but also a kind of cheesy Grindhouse B movie because it was like a low-budget Canadian movie. It's fucking dope. It's way better than Machete. Machete can suck it. Hobo with the shotgun's where it's at.
Well,
Anyway.
look, Halloween's legacy will be lost like tears in the rain.
Yeah, as it was already lost, you know.
Speaking of things that are lost and
Oh, God.
don't want to be found, we should talk about cats briefly.
Oh.
Yeah, throw up a hairball. Like,
That is the
what's
most
going
disgust.
on?
That is the most disgusting trailer I've ever seen.
What did I
Who
say?
approved it?
I'm
Like,
gonna
I want
yeah.
names.
Like, it made me physically ill, as I like to
it
say.
made us all
Yeah.
physically ill.
But
it made me actually genuinely uncomfortable.
No, it made me
I'm
made me throw up in my mouth.
I'm not joking.
No.
That trailer did actually make me physically uncomfortable.
What did I say to you guys before? It's a crime against humanity and God.
Yeah.
Like, it's man and God. Like, it's just like the fact that it got to this stage in production.
And there was not one
Like-
guy who was like, you know this is shit.
But like we were talking about this on the show before, where
no
it's
one
like
wants to lose their jobs.
Yeah, in Hollywood, no one wants to lose their job, so people don't speak out against something that's objectively terrible.
Yeah, Ryan, that's a
And-
good idea,
yeah,
Ryan.
and you
Who's
end
the
up.
who's
and
the director? Is it?
it's like Tom Hopper. He's like a good director.
Is he a furry?
Tom Hooper.
For a second, I thought you were talking about Toby.
No.
I was like,
I think Toby Hooper passed away.
I'll say, what a 180.
Is it Tom Hooper or Tom Hopper? Anyway, what was I saying?
People don't want to lose their jobs in Hollywood.
Yeah, so people don't want to lose their jobs in Hollywood, so they don't speak out against something that's objectively terrible, because who's going to tell the director, who's going to tell the producer that this is a load of shit? And so you end up getting a lot of talented people working really, really hard, working really long hours, spending a lot of money and time to bring something to screen that's objectively disgusting and should not exist.
It's creepy, man.
It's
and look,
like-
I know there's a section of the population that loves this shit.
Oh, yeah. But
I don't get it.
I mean, I don't want to fetish shame anyone,
No.
but it's
Yeah, no.
fucking weird.
There's
and,
better ways to go about making
and
fetish
also,
material
yeah,
than this.
And also, see, like, I don't know a lot about Cats the musical, but bringing it to cinema has always been, like, that would always be a tough task. This is the worst possible way to do that.
You know what it is?
They picked the worst possible way.
It's the literal interpretation. It's the
Yeah.
live action Lion
Exactly.
King.
And it comes with
It should have been a cartoon.
it comes with the curse of digital and
Yeah.
special effects and CGI of when you can do everything doesn't mean you should.
It should have been like
Just
a late
because
80s
they-
Disney cartoon.
Just because they could mocap all the actors and put CGI fur on them doesn't mean they should have.
You know what's a better movie?
I think the biggest
Aristocats.
yeah, I think the biggest problem is they gave the human face. They gave them human faces.
Yeah.
It's just so
And,
creepy.
and then they did this thing where they're the size of cats. So they're little teeny people running around on human-sized streets. So they only go up to the gutter kind of thing. It's like a nightmare. It's like a fever dream. It should never have gotten this far.
I just wish
fucking creepy.
I just wish it was directed by David Lynch.
Even if it was, I don't think I could get on board. Even with the
Like a Racerhead level
with
shit.
even with the deliberate weirdness, like I don't think I could get on board.
It's
Like
so-
it's uncomfortable.
it is.
It's like
it's
a
physically
like a
uncomfortable.
physical stomach.
I'm trying not to laugh in tears in the studio
It's
because
so
it's
bad.
just so weird and
It's so bad.
It's not like it's not unintentionally. I don't know how to describe it.
Just watch the trailer. You'll get exactly what
I
we mean.
I can't say watch a
No,
trailer
I
because
can't
it'll
recommend
scar you for life. Like,
Did they intend for it to be this way?
No, but I think that's the thing. Is like whoever like came up with the visuals and like the the director should never. This is the problem. It's like it's insane that this was made. This should never have been made this way.
Someone should have pulled the director aside
like,
and be
it
like, I
would've-
feel like this looks inappropriate.
Yeah, like-
I can't put my finger on it, but it's going to be rated R.
It would have looked like shit if they did even prosthetic makeup and like fur suits. Like it would have looked like shit. But that would have been so much better.
Yeah.
So much better. Like
I hope it gets an R rating just automatically.
you know how
it's like just disturbing content rated R.
you know how NC-17
Yeah, NC-17.
like You know how like there's the Sonic trailer came out and everyone's like, oh, it's hideous. Why does he have human teeth? Get rid of it. And they're all the memes. And then the makers of the movie were like, we're sorry, we're going to redo it. Then the Cats trailer came out and people were like, we're so sorry, Sonic. Come back, please. You know, we're so sorry we we said anything. But now I'm just like, it's like, kill it with fire. Like, this is not
Destroy
a Sonic...
the master tapes.
This is not a Sonic... Like, this is everyone... Yeah. Like, I wish the neuralizer from MIB existed because I would use it on myself and the entire population.
But then you'd re-listen to this in editing and you'd be curious and you'd go ahead and watch it.
No, this would have to be cut out and destroyed.
This entire episode just cut out of your memory.
Like, everything would have to be destroyed. Every mention... The internet would have to be completely shut down. I wouldn't... As much as I would miss the internet... Yeah. to do a Jeff Bezos, you have enough money, shut down the internet.
Just get rid of this trailer.
Get rid of all. See, this is only the first trailer. What happens when the second trailer comes out?
And then when
what happens when the movie comes out?
When the movie comes out and it bombs?
What happens when
What happens when the movie comes out and it does fucking amazingly well?
$100 million at the box office opening weekend.
What happens when 4-year-olds go to see the next like Disney movie and this trailer plays in the cinema? Scarred for life. What happens?
This is why it's the NC-17.
What happens when we try to avoid everything Cats related and we go to the movies and like
and we see the trailer big screen, just like
in the lobby is like the giant cardboard.
You know the scene.
Cats.
You know the scene in 2001 when he's going through the portal and you see
the Stargate sequence.
Yeah, and you see the flash of his face.
Oh,
That's
yeah, it'll be like that.
It'll be like me in the cinema.
It'll be like in The Shining when Danny sees the twins and his face is just like, like, and he starts foaming at the mouth.
Yeah,
you know the bit where he starts foaming at the mouth? That was me watching Cats trailer. It's like,
oh,
red rum.
That is horrendous.
Oh, God.
I think we're all out of time for tonight. Just about, or do we have more topics?
No, I think that's it. We mentioned Pennyworth briefly, but I don't think it's worth talking about now.
No, that's going to be shit.
Yeah, fuck that. You know what's dumb? Like, it's bad enough. Just the idea of it's bad enough. They should have never done it. But the fact that they're trying to do like a prequel to the Dark Knight version of Alfred, where he's got that the Michael Caine's accent, like they're deliberately trying to connect it without any legal, like canonical connection. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's just so, and it's so cheap and cringy.
But Michael Caine's sort of accent sounds a lot better than the one they used in Gotham. That sort of
that
rough
watch
and
out,
tumble.
watch out, Bruce.
Yeah, I like that guy though, the actor who
He's
plays
nice,
him.
but come on, Alfred's a bit more of a refined man. He's not a rough and tumble sort of.
I think this show is a symptom of that problem where they kind of reinvented Alfred as a kind of badass special forces. Like, like in the comic, I think he was in the army at some point, but he was always a more refined gentleman.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm not against exploring his past and his other side. You know, but this kind of making this show is just so cringy and like Alfred was a badass in 50s London or whatever and like fighting gangsters and it's like no.
Hashtag not my Batman.
Hashtag not my Alfred.
Yeah, no, not even close.
No. Disgusting. Everything, so many good trailers, so many bad trailers.
A lot to talk about.
And dude, there's so many trailers we didn't even get to talk about. There's all sorts of stuff that was coming out. I'm sure there's stuff that's coming out just now while we're talking.
We've seen some first pictures of The Irishman, which hopefully we'll see a trailer soon.
Yeah, but like we always talk about, you won't get that reaction until the trailer comes. We have to see what the footage looks like, what it sounds like.
Yeah, but it's coming. It must be coming soon because it's premiering in October at the New York Film Festival. It is okay. It is,
but it's not dropping on Netflix in October.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
but
if that mean it might come out by Christmas at least. Yeah. That's interesting.
That's hopeful, but man, I hope it's good.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
It needs to be good.
It'll be so disappointing if it's not good.
It has to be.
And I
good,
feel like
this is Netflix's fucking. Netflix wants to be a respected film studio.
I feel like it's going to be.
This is their chance.
I feel like it's going to be one of those situations where if it's bad, no one's going to want to say it's bad because it's Scorsese and it's a gangster movie and it's got Pacino and Pesci and De Niro and. and
we'll say it's bad if it's bad.
Yeah, I'm like as much
as we'll hate ourselves.
As much as I hate to do it,
reputations on the line to shit on Star Wars. We can do that again.
Yeah,
we're not shills for anyone. If it's bad, we'll say it's bad. It won't be a happy episode.
No.
Alrighty.
All right. Should we wrap it up?
We should.
Roll out.
Thank you for listening. Like and share the Tuesday Review Facebook page. Follow us on Twitter at Tuesday Review AU. You can follow James on Instagram at Channel Drifter, where he talks about and shares images of all the movies that we don't get to talk about on the show. Mm-hmm. You can find all of our previous episodes on your favorite podcasting app. If you like video games, check out Alan and Jake's show Sunrise Arcade and Maddie J's show Car Talk. That's TORQUE, because puns. Make sure to rate,
because
review...
the Australian accent, you have to spell it out.
Talk.
Because there's no R.
Yeah. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the Tuesday Review on iTunes. Thank you very much. Adios, cousins.